What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another Tuffy Talk live show. We are rolling as it is, man, the second Tuffy Talk live show of 2025. And before we get really into it, I got a really important question here to get started. Greg, what hurt worse, losing to UNC in basketball or losing to a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 20 years? Don't answer that. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that notification bell. And again, make sure to give us a follow Tuffy Talk now on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, man. But with that being said,
what were you saying?
With that being said, man, we're excited to be back and talk all things NC State sports with y'all, man. And, poke a little fun at Greg, for sure. So,
at least our team made it.
Yeah. Well, definitely, Greg, listen, man. You had one job, man. Dude, Baker, just hand off the football, bro.
The football, man.
That's all you got.
Well, look, I don't know if we're going to throw out an official sponsorship tonight for Oconee, but that was the highlight of my night last night, eating some chicken wings, watching the game. That was
good old Oconee gold, baby.
It was frustrating.
Well, yeah, nope, for sure.
Yeah,
man. It's Jane Daniels is a real deal again. Greg.
He's good.
He's a good one. But with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, if you've been with us before, you know the drill. But if you haven't, make sure you again put any questions, comments, concerns in the chat, and we will get to all of them here today. But Carson, man, what's going on, man? You doing good?
Yeah, overall good weekend other than the game. I was near the Carolina fans a lot, so we were getting into it a lot.
Yep. Well, but just keep in mind, Carson, again, per Ian Jackson, this isn't a rivalry, quote unquote. So, that's just stirring the pot. Honestly, that's not even a conversation piece anymore. All the UNC fans agree that it's a rivalry. They just like to say it's not, just to push our buttons. That's all they're doing.
And they've been doing it. They've been doing it for years. They need to find another method of trash talk. It's getting really boring at this point.
Well, just the UNC players' reaction alone after the game, pretty much tells you all you need to know. And also too, they really need to come up with something different than just wolves down, because am I doing wolves down or horns down? Can you tell?
Well, they're not even doing you can't even see
exactly. You can't even tell. Is it horns down?
You can't tell if the thumb's over the fingertips.
Exactly. Right? So yeah, exactly. So they need to come up with something different. But whatever. That's UNC for you. Just completely uncreative. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I thought Joe G, friend of the program, said it really well on his tweet today. If you didn't see it, I'll just read it real quick. It says there are rivalries, and then there are blood feuds. And if you can go listen to what they had to say about it, and I think they were spot on. I think there's levels, right, or layers, and no matter how hard you try, it's a rivalry or a feud or whatever. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. As long as it's Wolfpack versus Tar Heels, it's a rivalry.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
no, 100%, 100%. So, with that being said, first of all, I guess we can kind of jump into it with the game here and kind of break it down a little bit. First of all, in case you're not necessarily sure what inside scoop you're considering with Greg's, huh? What's that?
I always have an inside scoop.
Well, you have inside scoop, but I didn't know if they were referencing some.
I think that was part of the troll, the Burnosphere last week with all of the fun that I kind of got in on, and I apologize if anyone thought it was funny. I got hit up so much from that. I probably had 50 messages like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I was like, "I'm just playing along. It's just fun." I was bored. I was
well, yeah, that'd be I guess the news about the linebacker transfer happened soonish after that. So
there was no scoop. There was no scoop. The scoop was there was no scoop.
I see. Scoop is no scoop.
But can we take 30 seconds and talk about the Burnosphere? It is absurd. I don't know if other colleges. Again, my algorithm on Twitter is pretty much NC State. So I don't see a lot. There's a couple of national people that I follow, and do other schools have the level of Burnosphere that we do? I don't know. I'm genuinely curious.
Well, one thing which I'll say specifically is, I even met a UNC student at the NC State UNC football game tailgate who had a couple and literally full on admitted to me, yeah, I actually have an NC State burner account, and showed me it and everything. And And so, no, I mean, I again, it's there's nothing you can do about it, obviously, but man, it is frustrating to say the least.
Carson, what's your take on them?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just
fun or childish, I guess. Maybe that's the question, right?
kind of. I think kind of a mix of both. I think it just depends on how much they go in depth on it.
Yeah, there's some good ones though. There's definitely some good ones.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's fun when it's done tastefully, but when it's done just out of like being, just trying to cause trouble or, just, I don't even know. Like, but I mean, like tasteful for sure, so but anyway, though, so jumping into basketball. So here's my thought here, guys. First and foremost, obviously the news coming in right before the game that Brandon Huntley Hatfield was not going to play. I mean, Carson, do you think that coming out of that game, that loss for that game made a huge difference, or do you think that he probably wouldn't have made too big of a difference?
I don't think it would have made too big of a difference.
You didn't need a big difference though. You only lost by 2 points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead. If you look at it in a way, like Huntley Hatfield and Middlebrooks like have very similar play styles, and I think Middlebrooks stepped up pretty big in some good moments in the game. I just think Huntley Hatfield being in the game just would have given us more depth. I think that would have been the biggest contribution. I don't think there were going to be any big matchup differences if only Hatfield played, but he still would have been a good addition to the team.
You obviously wish more on the offensive side from a guy like Ben Middlebrooks, specifically when you think about the Texas A&M game last year where he just took over and had well over 25 points. And in this game, getting 5 points. But, I mean, 14 rebounds, though. I mean, that man was just a glass hog, which was huge for sure. Now, here's my thing. Here's my immediate thought about this game is, man, UNC is so beatable, and they were so beatable on Saturday. It's not even funny. Like I said it, y'all, before in last week's show, where I said this is the worst UNC basketball team that I've seen in over 30 years. And that's not to say they're not a good team. That's just they're not even great. They're good, but they're not great.
I wouldn't even say good. I mean,
they're
11-6. Like they're average. And that's no disrespect. Even if you look at North Carolina accounts, they are ready to dump Hubert pretty quickly. And he's already missed the tournament once, and he's only been there 5 years. So it's not out of the realm to say they're not good. I mean, they're average. Look, at this point, they're a bubble team. There's no way to slice it. I mean, they've still got opportunities to get some big wins and maybe get out of that bubble talk. But and I'll give them this though, they did play a hard non-conference, and I don't know like what their net looks like and all that. I don't really care at the end of the day. But but to the original point, they were a very beatable team, and we literally shot 3 of 19 from 3. If you go 4 of 19, which is still horrible, you win that game. You're one shot away. You're one possession away from winning that game.
Yep. No, I mean, it literally was just which team is going to not play as bad. That's basically who was going to win that game, which is so frustrating. It just kind of built off of what's definitely been a frustrating season so far. Just missed opportunity after missed opportunity for basketball. But, Carson, what's your biggest takeaway from this game, man?
Biggest takeaway is that I think it was the exact opposite of the Wake game. You go down a big lead. We went down like 9 multiple times in the game.
Yep.
A lot of teams probably would have given up at that point, but the team kept fighting. They played with pride. They played with passion. Even though they weren't knocking down a lot of shots, they still got locked in on the defensive end. And so I think you got to give the team credit for that. They just didn't give up, and in the end, Carolina just made a better play at the end of the game. And so I applaud the team for that, but we just got to start shooting better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it boils down to is just making some shots. You would have liked to seen the points in the paint a little bit better. Again, we continue to do really well not turning the ball over. We're right around 8, 9, 10 turnovers a game, which is pretty good. The assists, and again, that just goes back to making buckets. The passes were there; those assists would be up if you just made a few more shots.
Right.
Just shooting. We shot 15.8% from 3-point land.
It's crazy. Yep.
If you shoot 30%, like I said, you win that game. 25%, you win that game. Both teams shot really bad. They shot 44%. We were like 37%. Again, it looked like a game from like the 1950s. It just was, slow, ugly. I think there was one possession where it was a back and forth. I think you had a couple of missed shots, a couple of turnovers, and it was just like, oh, this is just bad. I want to say it was like midway through the first half.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. This to your point, Carson. The team is playing hard. They're not quitting.
No.
It's just you just. It's funny. I have a group chat, and I kind of use the analogy. You look at the football team, and there was a lot of close games that they lost, and it's just the margin of error is not a lot when you don't always match up or you have the talent. Which I don't even think this is a talent. Like we are just as good as Carolina. Like they're not heads and shoulders above us in any position. And so I think that's what makes it frustrating is like, that game was there to be taken and that you aren't going to get many more opportunities like that to where you can go get an ACC win because let's face it, if you're not over the bottom 3, you're not making the ACC tournament. And so there would be quote unquote, no magical runs and you're kind of running out of opportunities for, layups, if you will, pardon the pun.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely code red, I think, at this point for men's basketball for sure. It definitely got to.
And you have to hold serve at home. You have to hold serve at home, and you didn't.
I mean, so for me, you got to answer back, not only just for the sake of just pride, but for resume purposes. Now that game at Carolina coming up here soon is, you got to go win that game. But again, not necessarily that's going to be big from a net purpose, but again, more for pride. Listen, man, like this team is so beatable. Take advantage, for goodness sakes. Beat them one time this year, please.
Yeah.
So,
and you haven't beat them back-to-back games since 2003. So you had that momentum from beating them in the ACC championship. And my guy Josh Goodson, I don't know if you saw his tweet. There was not one mention of that game during any timeout, any break. Like you could have gotten the crowd going. You could have found a strategic spot in the game to play that, and that was a really good observation by him. And I thought that good crowd. I thought the crowd was good, pretty engaged. Just you got to win that game. You just have to find a way.
Yep. Especially because it was so close, and
we shot good. I'm so sorry. We shot 83% from the free throw line. Like
really good.
We didn't even struggle there.
Nope. For once.
We missed two free throws and lost by 2.
Yeah.
And so if you just make one more field goal.
Yeah, something. Just something. Make a play either on the offensive side, defensive side, you're winning that game. As bad as it looked, you still had an opportunity.
Yep. Still had an opportunity. So
shout out Marcus Hill though. Like he balled. Like
he's a beast. Yeah. Thank God for Marcus Hill. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
Thank God for Marcus Hill. Because we be piling up Poop Creek without him so far these last few games.
I'll say this as well. If we had DJ Burns, we would have won this game by 20. And if Carolina had Armando Bacot, they would have won by 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Assuming that they weren't both playing, right? Either one or the other for each team. Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So with that being said, Children's saying, Keats can be blamed for a bunch of stuff, but not for for shooting percentage. And just frustrating again, to say the least, for sure. Missed opportunity, but Anyway, though, so moving on here, I want to talk a little bit of football here, as man, there have been some transactions that's been going on. I mean, first of all, want to talk about a couple guys that have left NC State that have gone to some interesting places. First of all, I didn't even catch that our guy Obadiah Obasui transferred. He went to Georgia State. Didn't even see that one. And then let's see, there was a couple others. First of all, I mean, like Tamarcus Cooley going to LSU. I was like, that's interesting. Cool. Good for him.
Money.
Money. Yeah. But I mean, even still,
Dollar bill, y'all. Dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah. But again, I mean, like looking at, I mean, we've got a lot of guys. I mean, I think 3 linebackers so far.
I've never seen 3 linebackers commit in one day to NC State. And I kind of put it in our group chat. I don't know if you saw that the other day, Leighton. I was like, 3 linebackers in one day to commit to two high schoolers and then a transfer.
Yeah. Well, one was prep school transfer, wasn't it? Or
yeah. So I don't know if that counts as I don't know how that counts because it's not JUCO, but I thought that counts as prep, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, the biggest one of it all, which obviously is on which is on the thumbnail here, which is Sterling Dixon, transfer linebacker from Alabama, was listed as a 4-star transfer by 24/7 Sports, and a guy that I mean saw action for Alabama last year, a good bit of action actually, and was a 4-star recruit out of high school, and again, I think for me, is a huge win because I mean, let's be real. If we went in, to next season without making significant investments on the linebacker core specifically, we'd be in trouble. So just like you were saying, Greg, I think that Sterling Dixon was really pitched that he can come in and be the guy, be the guy for us on the defensive side next year. And I mean, because again, I mean, he's a guy that's competed at the highest level of college football and has seen success there at a very early age as well. So, I'm very, very excited. I thought that was a slam dunk, especially since we won. It basically came down to NC State versus UNC, and so for us to get him and UNC have to compete against him is a amazing double whammy, in my opinion.
I can just picture what Caden Fordham is thinking right now as well. He's like, yes, finally, I actually have help.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, and Greg, I mean, do you think that it's, how do you kind of look at next year between Caden Fordham and Sterling Dixon? How do you kind of look at that?
Yeah, I think you're going to find a way to get your best players on the field. So if they have to move around from Mike to Sam or to Will, then I think you'll see that you've got some guys now. If nothing else, you've got 2 things here. One, you've got depth, and then you've got special teams as well. With Dixon primary playing on special teams. Now you hope he can come in and compete for a starting job, but you also now have some quote unquote insurance for Fordham in case he has any kind of setbacks with his injury. So that's another plus win there. I still think that's Fordham's job, just because he's got the experience. He knows well, and honestly, we don't even know what scheme we're running officially yet. So that's something to be keeping in mind. So we might be running 4 linebackers, or we might be running 3 linebackers. So depending on that, that could definitely play into how these guys look and stack when we we'll get a look here real quick, because spring ball starts in like 3 weeks.
Really quickly.
Yeah, I'm excited. Anytime you can bring in some talent, it just makes everybody that much better.
Now, I do want to ask, I mean, one thing that really stood out to me in the transfer portal is how we've had 3 guys that have transferred to Morsell: Jalen Parker, linebacker; Kenna Lewis, linebacker; and Jacoby Baldwin, safety.
Roddy Martin too, I think.
Did he? Did you not catch that? No, West Virginia.
Oh, he went to West Virginia. Okay.
West Virginia.
I knew he went back up there. I just couldn't remember where he ended up at. All right. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah. No. So, I mean, hey, listen,
and they brought in Michael Allen.
Really?
Yeah. From UNLV.
Ooh, I didn't see that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew there was another one.
Good for Tony Gibson, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Hey.
Well, come in and get some guys that that can, kind of, lead the way, be some leaders, and establish a program, set a standard.
That's right. Yeah, no, and love that. Juice Farine going to UConn was an interesting one for me.
Yeah, we won
Definitely.
that trade.
Yeah. Between Jolie and
Yeah.
Juice, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd agree on that. But again, it comes down to, can we please get Jolie involved this year? Please, for all goodness things. Now, I do want to ask, actually, y'all and Carson, what were your thoughts on Doran hiring Gavin Locklear, former NC State wide receiver, as a tight ends coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting if you're trying to get Jolie involved more, because wide
Yeah.
receiver coach, tight ends, obviously tight ends are known for blocking and catching. And so if you want to get Jolie more involved in catching, I see that as a win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and here's my thing. I know he's probably 30, 31, give or take, because
Still young, yeah.
he's around my age, and he's a full-time assistant coach at a Power 4 level. Like, that's so. I mean, my hope is that this is an investment from Doran's side, that he sees enormous potential from Gavin as a coach, which, I mean, he's been around. I mean, Gavin's been around Doran ever since the beginning of Doran's era. So, I mean, Doran and Gavin know each other, like the back of their hand. And so, that's my hope. Now, I just hope it's not like, I hope that he's not. I hope it's not a settle move. But I kind of think that you're kind of agreeing with that aspect potentially. Just, I mean, because again, we just don't know much about Gavin from the coaching level. We haven't really seen what he can do yet from a recruiting standpoint, from a development standpoint. For sure, it's going to be really interesting. So it's an interesting move, but I like it. Hey, listen, if it works out, that's phenomenal, especially since, again, he's a guy that played at Apex High School, so he's a local guy, was a walk-on that got a scholarship, and he was a hard worker. He was a guy that was super committed, that did whatever it took to help the team win, whether it was on the practice squad. Even he was a guy that did a lot of the, before Jacoby Myers, did a lot of the, pass backwards, and he'd be the one throwing it directly. So, listen, I'm just interested, not necessarily concerned, interested, but hoping that, that this was all done for all the right reasons, which that's my hope and expectation.
Yeah, I like it on a couple of fronts. One, you're rewarding a guy that's loyal and has been working hard. And I like getting guys, opportunity. I especially like it from the perspective that he played at State. He played under Doran, and he can really talk to guys when they're, maybe down, struggling, kind of lift them up, and then can really give a good pitch if he's out on the recruiting trail of what to expect, because he's been there, done that, got the T-shirts, right? So I like it for because now you're seeing this, with Isaiah Moore. And you lost Freddie Autry-Lindsay, which I don't know if we'll talk about that, but that's a guy that had played at State, and you got another guy like Coach Thunder who's been there, done that, and so I think that's real important for the program, just as they can speak as not only coaches but as ambassadors as well.
Yep. No, absolutely. And so again, I mean, like, just like you said, I mean, investing in Thunder and giving him an opportunity to be a head strength coach for his first time, and man, has that worked out, with him being inarguably across the country one of the top strength and conditioning coaches in all of college football. So that has worked out beautifully. And yeah, same thing, with hopefully with Gavin here as well. Definitely excited about it. Now, Carson, I do want to ask your thoughts on the departure of Freddie Autry-Lindsay. There for sure is very interesting, obviously, how things went down, but do you kind of see a little bit of similarities between Freddie Autry-Lindsay and Des Kitchings, where it was kind of like, with Des Kitchings, he had an opportunity to be basically like a co-offensive coordinator with our wide receivers coach during the 2019 season. It didn't work out, and then the presumption is that basically he was asked to return as the running backs coach, but decided to go elsewhere and continue to try and move up the ladder. And so kind of maybe similar situation here with Freddie Autry-Lindsay, where he got an opportunity to be a defensive coordinator during the bowl game. Didn't work out. Maybe got asked to step back. and decide to go elsewhere? Do you kind of see this being one and the same or a little bit different?
Yeah, I kind of see him being one and the same. I mean, he really only had one chance during the bowl game.
Yep.
Then again, the defense, they didn't play very good in the bowl game. And
They didn't play very good. That's generous, Carson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he's not what NC State, I don't think he's what NC State needs right now, and I don't think NC State is what he needs right now. And so I think, I think he should just go somewhere else and get experience coaching at another place, and just get experience in that.
Yep. Nope. Agreed. Greg, thoughts?
Yeah, it was clear that he had reached his not potential, but like his growth. Like he wasn't going to grow anymore here at NC State. It was obvious. Whether he was given a fair opportunity, we won't know. Like what the like if there were stipulations or if it was really a tryout or an audition, if you will, for the job. It was like pretty quick. Like the announcement, he's gone, and then the new coach rolls in. I believe Warren was his last name. Is that his last name? Warren.
Yep.
Yeah. So you could tell that that was already being worked out behind the scenes, and I don't know if that was before the bowl game, after the bowl game. I don't know. I think the opportunity was there for him to be the co, and I don't think he wanted co, and that's okay. Like he thinks that he's better than that, and that's good. Like you want to have faith in yourself, and you want to go out and prove yourself at a different level. And from what I know, he'd had opportunities before, but he stuck around hoping that he would get the D coordinator job here. And it just didn't work for whatever reason. And we won't be privy to that. And that's okay. You could tell like from his message, his goodbye message, that it was all heartfelt. I don't think there's any hard feelings. I think it's just business at the end of the day. He's doing what's best for him and his family. And that's what you want. Like that's what you want in a man. And I wish him all the luck for everything that he's done at NC State, both as a player and as a coach.
Absolutely. No, 100%. Now, Chilton says, what did they really expect Freddie Autry-Lindsey to do at the bowl game? Gibson didn't get this defense to perform this year either. And I would immediately say to that, be competitive. Like you gave up over 300 yards rushing to ECU, y'all.
Well, and I know you guys have already talked about this when I wasn't on, but like the quarterback had a career day rushing, the running back had a career day rushing. Like at the end of the day, stopping the run is just it's not like you got thrown for 500 yards. Like it's right. It's attitude. It's controlling the line of scrimmage. It's being disciplined and filling your gaps in assignment football. It just, for whatever reason, it just didn't work that night. And that's not a blame on anybody. It just wasn't our night. And we'll go get him here in 8 months.
That's right.
It's really bad when you consider the fact that we have 10 times the resources of ECU as well.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And again, I mean, like, the coach, who's only been a head coach for a couple games now. And, just, he looked like a superstar, that day compared to our coaching staff. So it just was time for a change. Just somebody. And again, I mean, hey, now you have two guys with a lot of, proof and experience, that, and I mean, obviously bringing the guy that was the associate head coach from UNC over to be our co-defensive coordinator. Interesting hire for sure. Definitely kind of like that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like, Adam, kind of says, I think with this, we might run a 3-4 scheme. We'll see. I
think you're going to see some more different looks. I don't think you're going to be just locked into one particular thing. I think there's going to be more flexibility with the new, well, who knows? Now you have, to your point earlier, you have co-defensive coordinator. So who's going to be making those decisions on what defenses you run? We saw with Anai, like, was his hands tied by Doran? Is how much of an input is going to be there? Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yep. But one interesting thing right now too, the last thing I'll kind of point out here for football wise, right now we have the number 18 transfer class in the country right now. So just throwing that out there.
Which is wild because you saw like where like On3 like showed us as one of the worst transfer. So at the end of the day, just go prove it on the field. I don't really care about like people's opinions on some of this stuff. I think some of it's just made up, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit when we get to some tweets of the week in baseball, and you'll see, who do you believe? Who you putting your stock in?
Oh, 100%. Now, Carson and Greg, I do want to talk about one sport specifically before we move on. Well, first of all, wrestling, I know that Preacher Man was talking about it there, and Chilton as well.
It's still 6-3.
But yeah, 6'3". Kai, I don't know which wrestler gives me more headaches. Ed Scott or Kai Rini.
I was gonna say either Ed Scott or Kai
Rini.
Yeah,
my gosh,
they're insane.
Biggest eye roll. Like they can beat the number one guy in the country and then lose to
the 100th
Mr.
guy.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like just right now. I mean, he just got
It's exciting to watch though.
It's exciting. It's exciting, but
but it's not good for your heart.
No, but again, I truly am just honestly, Greg, foaming at the mouth for next year. Like next year, we're going to be so loaded for wrestling. It's not even funny.
I know.
So
I know.
But anyway,
I'm mad that they changed the damn time the other night. Like I wasn't able to get there. I was like,
yeah,
dang it. Like,
snowing, man, dude.
I get it. No, I got down to Raleigh. Ended up with free tickets to the Canes, and
nice.
I didn't go. It was really bad. I got on 85 and 40, and there was 4 accidents, and I said, ain't worth it. Going to the hotel.
Nope. That's right. Smart move.
Yeah.
But I do want to take a little bit of a victory lap for myself a little bit, as I called it for a while with in-state women's basketball, saying my girl Tilda, man, give her the run.
Yeah,
and she has looked pretty solid. Again, I'm not saying that, I never said that she was going to be, breakout or just absolutely break down doors. But I mean,
she is.
But I mean, for her, like here, when I said, okay, I didn't say she was going to be a superstar, but I said that she could be serviceable, and she has been serviceable for this team. And I think that Westmore has finally understood that, giving her over 30 minutes of playing time against Stanford, and she was clear and evident the one for the 5 position for this team, and I think that she's earned it going forward. Carson, thoughts there on my girl Tilda?
Yeah, I worked technician. I think it was the Clemson game where Tilda got her first start, and in the post-game interview, I asked Wes about it. He's like, well, Mallory Collier came back from Christmas sick, so we wanted to give Tilda a shot, and that's worked out really good.
Yeah, I mean, Tilda. Just looking at her last few games, last 2 games specifically, where she had over 30 minutes of playing time against Cal, number 24 Cal, she had 19 points, 10 rebounds, dude. Against number 24 Cal, 19 points, 10 rebounds. And then against Stanford, 10 points, 5 rebounds in 30 minutes of play. So again, didn't knock the roof off, but completely serviceable. 3 assists against Stanford as well. So I think you have your 5 going forward. Greg, thoughts?
Yeah. Last 3 games, averaged over 10 points a game, 10, 19, and 10. 2 games in a row, she reached career highs. And so, the more she's going to be playing, the more confident she's just going to get. This is going to sound really bad. She's a poor man's Lisa Cunane at this point. And I think she can get there. Needs to put on a little bit of, I always hate muscle? To say this for women. Muscle. Yeah. Bulk's not the thing. No woman wants bulk, but muscle.
Right.
But she can stretch. She can stretch the floor. And so that opens up lanes. Yep. That opens up lanes. Yeah. I mean, I think she hit 3 or 4 against Cal. And that was a game we should have won. It just didn't happen, but a lot to be excited about. Still need some depth there at 5. You need, but to your point, I think we've started to kind of figure out that rotation, what it's going to look like, and what you have at this point, especially as you're getting now into the heart of the ACC schedule.
Yep. But Carson, though, man, I mean, once again, I think you're seeing, again, I mean, just like this, if this team can balance itself, like there hasn't really been a game yet that I can think of where one player has
Boston College was pretty complete. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying there hasn't been one game where one specific player has gone off necessarily, in my opinion. I think most games it's been one player doing most, but not necessarily having a huge breakout like 35 some crazy points. But like these games, like again, Louisville, for example, where we beat Louisville, and then in this game specifically, you had 5 players with double-digit scoring. Like I mean, is this the makeup this year for this team to be successful? Is this balanced approach?
Yeah, and I talked to Sanaya. I interviewed her after a game in I think it was the Boston College game where you had like 6 players score double figures, and Sanaya just said that it makes it tougher for the other team trying to guard them because anyone can show out.
That's right. Yeah. Now, I mean, I still am, kind of disappointed in the sort that Isaiah James hasn't been that superstar that she showed herself to be last year. I mean, she's been good. I mean, 16.7 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists a game. But I would say, I mean, she's been consistent in that, 14 to 18 points a game. But hasn't really had those huge, ceiling games yet. But I like, and I mean, like, it's kind of crazy, Greg. I feel like that this team is a very quiet 12-4. Like when you think as an state fan, you say, like just like somebody who's followed this team but doesn't necessarily know what the record is. You're like, 9-5, maybe, but no, I mean they're 12-4. I mean, so it's still a solid record.
Yeah, and all 4 of their losses should be against ranked opponents, I believe. Am I?
TCU, LSU, South Carolina, Cal.
Yeah, all top 20 teams. So, and you could have won 2 of those easily. You could have easily won the Cal and TCU game. I think you were there at LSU. No, you got blown out by LSU. Yeah. So
you were playing good against South Carolina in the first half. Just
you were.
South Carolina walked away.
Yeah, it's South Carolina. But to the point, you've lost 4 games, and you're like, ugh, 4 losses. But when you do a dive on it, it's like they're again. I hate the word quality loss, but you've lost to ranked opponents. Like I know Davidson gave us a scare. We only won by 2 in that game, but other than that, we've basically handled business. And so it's going to get tougher. Like you have Duke, you have Carolina, you have Georgia Tech. I think Florida State's ranked. I don't know if they still are, but
so I mean, to Children's point, women's big competitions coming in February. So
that's what I was forgetting.
So just January, wrapping it up. So we host Pitt, host Virginia, both unranked. We go to Syracuse. And then we host Virginia Tech, and then go to Wake Forest. All unranked opponents as of right now.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech had a nice win last weekend.
That's right, they did. Yeah, against Kentucky, right?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Yep. Yeah. But then February is a gauntlet. You host number 16 Duke. You go to Florida State, who's very sneaky, not ranked, but very sneaky. You host Miami, again, another sneaky team. You go to UNC. You go to Georgia Tech. You host Notre Dame, and then you host Wake Forest. And then
last game.
And then March you go to SMU to wrap up the season. But yeah, I mean, very doable for sure. Now, I mean, the one thing that's interesting, it's interesting that we only play UNC once this year.
Yeah, and it's not at home,
right? Which of course, so that means that Banghart gets to avoid 1 year of stupid Reynolds Coliseum jokes. So, but yeah, I mean, my thing is just January, just pick up momentum, continue to, just to, buff out the edges a little bit, get Tilda rolling a little bit more, get that, gel, going on between Tilda and the rest of the girls. And then February, just buckle up and put your chin strap on tight. And, I mean, beat a very beatable Duke team. I mean, watching their game against UNC, Duke didn't necessarily, blow my socks off necessarily. I mean, very, very beatable team in my opinion, but they're a very well coached team for sure. So, but it's in your house. It's in Reynolds. So you're feeling pretty good about that game in my opinion. But I mean, Greg, what do you feel like that? What would you say right now that you feel like your expectations are for this team rest of the season?
Yeah, so we have our double game, right? So you only play one opponent twice, and that's Wake Forest. And so you like that. That's one of the worst teams in the league. And then you have, Syracuse is kind of taking a nosedive. They were decent last year. In fact, I think they made the tournament, and so they're having an off year at 7-9. You have Virginia, who gave us troubles last year. We split 1-1 with them. Your next game is against Pitt, who just broke an NCAA record for the largest comeback in women's college basketball history, which if anyone didn't see that was wild. They went on a 28-29-0 run. So that's an insane thing to think about. But they're only 9-9. So you go bank a bunch. Where I'm going with this is you bank a bunch of wins this month. Granted, you have Virginia Tech, but that is at home. And like
Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech's won their last 2 in Reynolds.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. Yeah. It's again. So these games are against teams that we've struggled against. Like we struggled against Virginia last year. We struggled against Miami. We lost to them. We beat Florida State in a close game last year in Reynolds in overtime. But those are games you got to go win because
that's right.
And then what you're hoping for is you win out of you got Duke, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame. You hope you maybe get a split, maybe go 2-2, 3-1, something like that, and then you're putting yourself right there.
For me, getting a top 4 seed.
That's where I was going to go next.
Yep. In the tournament, get the buys. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have it right here. But look at that win probability chart for SMU Pitt. Literally 99.9% SMU to win.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah, it was an incredible, it's just something you don't see.
No. Now the interesting thing though is that for the NC State Pitt game, which now I screwed up there we go. Okay.
There you go.
For the NC State Pitt game, ESPN Analytics gives us a 98.9% chance to win. So we're gonna be pretty heavily favored going into this game.
Yeah.
Here on Thursday night. So
but don't let that be an excuse. I mean, here's the thing: you can't get up big because they just pulled it the other night. Not to say they're going to do that every night going out, but they've proven that they can do that. So you can't let off that gas.
Absolutely, 100%. All right,
honestly,
so let's
wait. I can't remember the last time we lost to an ACC team at home that wasn't Virginia Tech. I mean, we lost to Duke and Boston College a couple of years ago, but that was over winter break. So that semi counts. I can't remember any before.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I can't remember losing a game going to.
It's like Virginia Tech is our kryptonite at home.
Well, yeah, I mean, we lost twice to them last year. We should have beat them. We should have won in Virginia Tech. We gave up that late basket, and then Reynolds game. I feel like
Reynolds game they won by 5. They were just ahead the whole game and played really good.
Yeah.
Well, but keep in mind too, this is not anywhere near the same Virginia Tech team we faced in previous years.
No, I mean, heck, the coach isn't even there anymore.
Right, and they don't have probably their all-time best women's
Morey
basketball player of all time.
Keatley.
And Amor's at Kentucky.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So yeah, again, just excited to see women's basketball starting to figure some things out and starting to roll a little bit at the right time. So let's just continue to build off this, continue to make January a great month and get ready to buckle that chin strap here for February.
Yeah.
So Chilton saying moving screen at VT last year. Yeah, but again, Debbie Antonelli says it was just a great play. So I guess we'll trust Debbie Antonelli.
Hey, I'll give her credit. She's not I know she's a homer, but she's not a homer. I'm okay with that.
No, we literally just hung her in the rafters, and she's still going to say that wasn't an illegal screen. So I love it. Good for her. So all right, y'all, let's jump on over some tweets to week. So that way we can get to what really grinds my gears for Greg. All right, y'all. So bringing this up, I'm gonna just softball right here for you, Greg. Really grinds my gears?
Idiots at perfect game.
Well, and here's my thing too.
It's not even close. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go, and then I'll get on my rant.
I feel like that. Let's be real. D1 baseball, no baseball. I feel like for example, for the AP poll and the coaches poll, for football, it's somewhat close-ish. A couple spots difference, but D1 baseball, a perfect game, you could be outside the top 50 in one, and then in the top 12 in the other. It's just which I mean, I get it because baseball is so fluid as it is, and I get it. But let's be real, for a perfect game to have us number 36 when we have three, top 150.
Clown college.
Yeah, I mean, when we have three top 150 draft prospects, and you're not even including a guy like Jacob Dudan on that list, for example, I mean, just pitching alone, we're going to be insane. And then from there, you're basically just saying, well, can Coach Hart get our hitting, above average? And then if you get that, I mean, you're a top 15, top 16 team in the country, in my opinion, easily. Just that alone.
Yeah. So good news. We just got confirmation for our guest for our baseball preview. So we'll have a fun guest. The guys over at Pack Homer stole my original guest, and that's okay. We'll get him on at a different time, but
yep.
we'll have a really fun guest, and we'll try to get a couple guys in during out the year. But this is trash. Like this is. Like to your point, like I was talking with one of my guys, Coach Hall. He's a big Clemson guy, and he was like, even the Clemson picks are crazy. There's no way you can tell me Virginia Tech is better than us in baseball. There's just no way.
There's no way you can tell me Louisville's better than us in baseball right now.
No. And that was at least closer. But yes, that's a good point too. I wasn't even looking at them. Once I saw Virginia Tech and us, I was done even looking at this graphic. UConn's better than NC State in baseball. Give me a break.
I mean, again, especially again, it's just like, listen, we literally are returning pretty much everybody back from pitching last year, and you're also getting one of your routine starters back as well. And on top of it too, again, I mean, like just closers alone, you're going to return two guys that are probably two of the best closers in all of baseball.
We're going to have starters that are going to be looking for innings this year because we are so deep in pitching. Like we're going to have weekend starters that are going to be midweek games probably this year. Like, and we'll talk about it when we talk about the season preview. There's going to be like, we have a plethora of riches of rags. Like it's whatever stupid analogy you want to use for pitching. Now, granted, to your point, hitting's going to be, we're going to have to look for that. We'll figure that out. But I believe in Coach Hart. And again, we'll talk about it in our preview. He got career years out of both AMAC and Pennington last year, like career years. And no one saw what they were going to do. Like no one saw that coming. You thought, we got some guys, like they'll could be contributors. Bro, studs they became.
Yeah. Anyway. And the last thing I'll say even as well is, I mean, like just to kind of put it into just context here. I mean, you think about, some of the best, pitchers to ever come through in-state. I mean, obviously Carlos Rodon is towards the top of that list. If this is not the greatest pitching staff, in my opinion, that in-state baseball has ever had, then we missed the ball somewhere.
Assuming health, right? Like you want to
assuming health, exactly. That, we missed the ball somewhere.
And you're going to get a guy like Shane Van Dam back towards the end of the season, hopefully, between half to 3/4 of the season, you could potentially see him being injected into this rotation. But it's insane the arms that we have. You have
a closer that can move the ball all over the place, 10 feet up and down, left and right, and then you have a guy that can throw the ball as fast as lightning. Like you literally have, like yin and yang, and they're both unhittable on the closer side. Like it just, and then we're just talking closers alone, much less even starters, much less even relievers. Like, again, this is just, and again, yes, I get it. We lost a lot on the batting side. I get it. But at the end of the day, you ask any baseball person, would you rather have great pitching or great batting? Every single one is going to say great pitching all day long.
Look, if this team averages 4 runs a game, even if they only average 4 runs a game, they're going to win 30 to 40 games.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. And so
anyway, much more to
Carson,
talk about.
Carson, give us your thoughts here, man.
Baseball's my jam. So
yeah.
I think the D1 baseball is much more accurate.
Yes. I agree.
They got guys that do this full time, and they got good dudes. Like they got former major league guys on their staff. They've got smart, intelligent people that know the game. I think Perfect Game. I didn't know a lot about Perfect Game. Carson, I'm sorry. Finish your thought, and then I'll. This got me fired up. This is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we're saying, we have our whole pitching stat, or not. I meant pitching players.
Yeah.
Coming back from a team that went to Omaha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at that, I mean, I think it's comparable to our football team a few years ago. I think it was basically the one where you had Payne Wilson, Drake Thomas, Isaiah Moore, all coming back.
22 season.
Yeah. Yep. And I was thinking before that season, I'm like, how are teams going to be able to score on us?
Yeah.
And then for this, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nope, yeah. Exactly. I mean, you lose two big contributors in Highfield and Whitaker, but you're potentially getting a guy back in Willitson who was on that 21 team. Like you still have a guy left that was on the 21 Omaha team.
Yeah.
So you have leadership. Like that's not going to be an issue.
And you got to expect he's foaming at the mouth.
Oh, like, he's ready to go.
He is so ready to just kick some teeth in this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm really rooting for him. I mean, I root for all the guys, don't get me wrong, but
right.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun preview. I think it's going to be a fun, spectacular year at the Doak. Just go out and watch these guys because I think we're primed for another run. And my goodness, and we'll talk about it. The ACC is just loaded for bear. Like if you look at the D1 of the top 15, 7 of them are ACC schools.
It's crazy. Like again, last year was a record that it was the first time since like the early 1900s that you had Omaha represented by 2 conferences, and back in those early 1900s, it was only 4 teams that went to Omaha. So, but now it's 8, and like honestly, if 4 teams from the ACC aren't going to Omaha this year, at least, then. Yeah, I'll be surprised. Let's put it that way.
I mean, it's crazy. At the end of the day, it's all about draws and matchups.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, it's not conceivable to think that you could have 4 and 4 again. Like it's that good.
No. Yeah. No, it's not out of this world. Definitely not. So
by the way, when tomorrow it'll be 30 days until the first pitch at Doak.
It's crazy.
That's how close we are. And I don't want to give up on basketball. I'll be at Virginia Tech on Wednesday night. So pray for me. I'm insane to do it, but I won't give up on my teams. I will not give up on any NC State team until it's done. So
absolutely
we'll be there, but we're excited. I'm excited. Spring sports are just around the corner.
That's right. No, it's a good time. But again, this was a tweet of the week. Obviously, NC State's win at Stanford. And again, I mean, I really have to feel like that the one thing I do want to kind of give another hats off to is, once again, I mean, obviously the second leg of a long away stretch going all the way to California, and you're facing one of the premier women's basketball programs, and you control that game really from beginning to end and beat them by 14, and this is a game where State was only favored by 2.5 points, even though we were ranked and they were not. Like it was still almost a pick-em game, and we controlled that game from the opening tip-off to the very end. So huge hats off, and love, what we saw and the leadership for sure. So huge hats off for this win. Was got to give extra roses for this win, in my opinion. So
yeah, and the other thing I don't think we talked about was that was a rematch of the NCAA tournament last year, right? Didn't we beat Stanford in the tournament last year?
Yes. Now,
granted, different team. Vandermeer is no longer there, and she was one of the best to ever do it. But and I wasn't able to watch the broadcast, so maybe they talked about it on the broadcast yesterday. But
sure.
So
huge hats off.
Some good success against Stanford.
Yeah. No, and we'll take it. And it's going to be interesting too, by the way, with NC State men's basketball, as well as we host Cal here soon, which once again is just like, that's just, can't imagine Cal playing in the Novo Center, man. That's crazy.
So
go ahead, Greg.
Don't we go to Cal too, right? So we play them twice, or is the Cal game at Cal? Because I know we have a West Coast Cal Stanford swing for men's basketball as well.
Cal, we play Cal twice.
Okay, we do play Cal twice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting for sure. So yeah, definitely you can't. I'm just still wrapping my head around this whole new ACC, man. I'm still wrapping my head around it.
Well, that
So
was the thing. Like I was watching the Cal game, and that was my first ACC after dark experience, right? Because women basketball coming in at 10 o'clock at night. I can honestly say I've never watched NC State at 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast.
no,
So
yeah,
that's a little
Mhm.
different.
That's a new one for sure. Now,
Mhm.
another new one as well is the announcement of Shaheem Battle, former NC State defensive back, getting signed by the Galaxy. What's their
Frankfurt.
Carson? Frankfurt Galaxy.
Frankfurt.
Yeah, the European Football League. You know, because if I'm not mistaken, during this last season, I don't think he played for anybody. I don't think he was anywhere. Right. So, interesting move for sure. For them. So, because this is also too a team that just won the championship from the European side as well. So a pretty good professional football program over there for the European Football League. But listen, hey, huge shout out to Shaheem. Get an opportunity to go and prove himself and try and make a name for himself over there, which, hey, definitely wish all the best for him. And, love to see it. And, a former state guy get an opportunity to go and play the game he loves at the professional level. So excited for him. But any final thoughts here, y'all?
No, I mean, like you said, you get to play the game you love and you get to go do it overseas. And that's just, if nothing else, it's just a great experience culturally. You get to go see how other people live and do things. Germany's a fun place. I've been there a couple times. I'm not mad at it. Frankfurt, he'll love it. He'll have a good time. So
now the one thing though I want to mention, speaking of Pac Pros, and we'll talk about another Pac Pro here in a second that I know Carson is super excited about. But for me, another guy I want to talk about that I'm super excited about. Can anybody guess who I'm thinking of?
Well, what sport? Give me that first.
Well, it's gonna be easy. Football.
Okay,
Actually, you know what? There's two guys I want to mention from football.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg. Who do you think?
Yeah, so I'll go with Peyton Wilson, and I'll let Carson give the other name because I know he knows.
Carson, who are you thinking, man? For football.
For football?
Yeah. That Pac Pro I'm thinking about.
I don't know. There's a lot. There's a couple still in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, it's one of them. I think if I have to guess, go ahead. Give me the one that you think.
Bradbury's playing right now.
No, but accolades. Like
accolades.
Who had a season this year?
Who had a season? Technically,
Myers.
Two of them.
Yeah, Jacoby had a good 1,000. Yeah,
1,000 yards for the first time in his career. So actually, you know what, Greg? The two guys I wasn't even thinking about. One of them wasn't even Peyton Wilson, even though he deserved his accolades for sure.
But I'm gonna go Joe Tooney. Yeah, that's who.
First team all pro offense. Like, dude, and he's been in the pros for this is his 7th year, I believe.
He got like 12 Super Bowl rings and he's only played 7 years. Like he's got some ridiculous number.
And again, in his 7th or 8th year in the pros, and he's still getting first team all pro, man. That's crazy. And on top of that, Jacoby Myers is not far off, and he's getting his first 1,000-yard season, which is awesome to say the least, for sure. So
especially on that team, was not a good team to be able to stand out.
But again, just like love it, man. Then you got Peyton Wilson again, who's making a name for himself and proving all the doubters wrong. And the Steelers got the home run of the NFL draft, in my opinion, man. So again, just right now, when you look at the NFL right now, it is looking pretty good from the NC State side for sure. Love to see it. So huge shout out to Joe Tooney and Jacoby Myers and Peyton Wilson, man. Keep doing y'all's thing. This one, though, I know Carson was super excited about, Jamise Joseph, former NC State women's soccer player, getting called up to the U.S. women's national team. Carson, you want to give a little bit more light on this huge move here, brother?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Jamise is now one of the 24 prospects who will take part in the Futures Camp, basically just a big tryout for whoever's going to be on the national team in the future. It's basically a U23 team. And Jamise was one of my favorite players to wear the wet and right for soccer. My first ever sporting event at NC State was a women's soccer game. I can't remember who we were playing. It was like Campbell or Elon or someone, but Jamise scored a game-winning goal with like 10 seconds left. And so, great player. And she had a really good rookie season. this past year. She's preparing for her second season. I got her stats pulled up here. She played over 1,000 regular season minutes as a rookie and tallied 2 goals and 2 assists. So she's gotten a lot of experience already, and now she's getting called up for a national team tryout.
What position does she play?
Forward.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We need that. So, yeah, again, just love what we're doing, and again, obviously, with anything in life in general, there's always going to be positive and negatives. But again, I mean, just from a professional side, football is looking really good. Love women's soccer. You got the NC State name again thrown in there a little bit. So again, man, it's exciting stuff right now for sure. And then I mean, obviously with tennis, women's tennis, I mean, Diana Schneider, I mean, who's really looking like she could go as one of the top women's tennis players in the world, and she played at NC State. Like to wear that hat is going to be super cool. I mean, and she's proud about NC State. I mean, she's there's a lot of pictures of her playing on the pros, throwing out the wolf hand and everything, and so you love that. Somebody that's more than happy to represent NC State, even though she only spent a few months here at NC State. So, but. With that being said, Greg, any final thoughts here, man, to wrap things up here, man?
Yeah, I think there's a really cool thing that's about ready to happen this weekend. Something that's probably a lot of State fans aren't really covering. It's the swimming and diving this Friday. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary of the women's program. I think that's a really cool milestone to check out, and they're going to have a meet this week. So yeah. One of those sports that you can just go out and they usually take care of you, give you some kind of freebies. I know tennis does the same thing where it's almost like they pay you to come see them. And yeah, just a really cool thing for women's, not only women's sports in general, but NC State swimming to be more specific. So congrats on that amazing milestone.
Yep. And then, just update with the wrestling match is that NC State is down 14-3. Ed Scott
17-3.
17-3 now. Yes, right. Yeah,
they beat our brains in last year.
Yeah. No, and again, I this team will be good. This team will be competitive. I think Isaac Trumbull could compete for a national title this year. But I mean, I really do like. It's really, in my opinion, now at this point, just settling in. It's all for next year. At this point, like this is really just building for next year. But so anyway, though, and then lastly, what was the other thing I was going to bring up too? I can't remember, but that's right. Ice hockey, who's actually taking on the Hurricanes alumni team right now, which is fun thing to wrap your head around here for sure. But NC State's actually leading right now, 7-6 over the Canes alumni, which keep in mind the Canes alumni beat UNC hockey pretty bad about a month or two ago. So
the crowd looked good too. Like it looked like a good crowd. Like I saw a few pictures from inside the Lenny, which is the dumbest name ever, but but that's pretty awesome that they get that's such a good crowd. And who would you root for? Would you? So both of you guys are Canes fans. I'm not a Canes fan. Would you root for NC State or the Canes?
NC State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, just because it's the Canes alumni, it's like guys playing on this team are really like Rob Brendamore, Eric Stahl, Cam Ward, Sean Hill, he's my favorite Hurricanes player of all time. So Ray Whitney, Eric Stahl, Chad LaRose, a lot of big time Hurricanes names. And
I'm assuming no checking, right? I would
no checking.
Yeah, no checking.
You ain't checking Rod Brendamore. Yeah. First of all, you don't want none of that, but also too, that's big money too as well. Can't even risk nothing either.
Yeah. No, but so just so it's fun. So you think about it, right? Real quick, we'll finish on this. You got these young 19 to 23-year-olds, right? So younger, more athletic, yada yada yada. But you have NHL dudes that are like in their 30s and 40s, and they can still put the hammer down because their skill set is just so good. So it's really an interesting comparison to look at those things.
Well, and I mean, how many Stanley Cups are playing on that ice right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying. I mean, a lot of those guys were from the 2007 Stanley Cup Hurricanes. Rob Brindamore, Eric Stahl, Chad LaRose, Ray Whitney, Cam Ward. So Aaron Ward as well, I think, is playing on the alumni team as well. So I mean, it's almost pretty much the 2007 Hurricanes Stanley Cup team basically playing. Like, how cool? Like, first of all, how cool is that? Like, if you're an NC State ice hockey player, that you come to the face-off and you're facing off against Rob Brindamore.
How big are your eyes?
Eric Cole, like, and you're playing on the Hurricanes ice. Like, that's like, even for me, I'm fangirling right now just thinking.
Yeah,
about
why
that.
would
So
I mean?
Cool.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm sure like the photos will be cool. It'd be really cool if they do some kind of jersey exchange at the end, and like, you know, something fun like that where you can get all the signatures. Like, that would be a great momentum.
Well, especially, I mean, I think it's kind of cool also for the fact, I mean, Rob Brindamore is obviously a very public NC State fan. So I'm sure it's kind of cool for him, you know, as well, playing against NC State ice hockey team that, I mean, he's done pregame, you know, speeches for that team. And so, again, just so cool. So
real quick, without getting political, because that's not what we're about here. The cup, the Governor's Cup's been now renamed to the Roy Cooper Cup. Again, I don't want to go political, but it's kind of silly. It's kind of silly.
It's dumb. It's terrible. It's just, but again,
especially when you consider that Roy Cooper isn't even our governor anymore.
Well, right.
Or he won't. I don't know when Governor Stein takes office, but
should be pretty soon.
I mean, it's really weird to name it that as like right at the end of his term as well.
Well, especially because there's no NC State person that would have signed off on that. They shouldn't. I mean, because what the heck did he do for us? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So
and we don't even talk about 2021 baseball.
Yep. No, but gosh forbid though, he's gonna
right off into the sunset.
This wide receiver should be playing, you know, like really.
Oh yeah, Dez.
Des Walker, like you're gonna be adamant about a wide receiver who at the end of the day transferred twice and had to transfer to UNC because his grandmother in Charlotte was not doing well, like, you know, whatever. Anyways, dumb. Not be political. I don't think that's
none of that's political. I don't even give a damn about the political. Like
no, this isn't politics.
I get it. He's embraced the game, but just keep it the Governor's Cup. Like, there's no need to put a name on it. Anyway,
well, Chilton apparently saying that Stein is a big Tar Heel also. So, but whatever, you know.
So expect more of the same.
More of the same. But now here's the other thing though too. Like, I don't know what the odds are right now, but I feel like it's pretty much who's going to win the ACC in basketball, Duke or the Field, right? I mean, I feel like it's
I would still take Duke.
Duke is Cooper Flag
45.
Cooper Flag might be one of the best freshman basketball players we've seen in a while, and I'm even saying maybe more than Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Is he that good, or does the ACC suck that bad?
I mean, I'm just saying, man. Like Cooper, like he's
good.
He's because again, he could do it all. He could do it all, all of it.
Yeah.
So,
Greg, your point does bring me though. I mean, Zion played when Duke, Carolina, and Virginia were all 1 seeds. Yeah, Clemson and State were both pretty decent. Florida State was pretty good. I think Syracuse was pretty good. So Virginia Tech was really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the ACC was different back when Zion played.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I would say Zion is one of the greatest athletes to play in a long time, but Cooper Flag might be one of the greatest basketball players to play in a long time, in my opinion.
My problem is when you start comparing guys, it's different eras. Like Zion wouldn't shoot 3-pointers. Like now you have big guys shooting 3-pointers like they're 10-footers. So it's just different. And not to say one's better than the other. And again, not taking away, but they're just different generational players. For me, it's hard to make heads or tails of it. Like if you gave me Zion and Cooper like one-on-one while they were at Duke, I'm taking Zion all day. He would eat Cooper Flag's lunch. Like just the body, he would body him and he would knock him into the second row at Cameron. Now, if you get Cooper out on the perimeter, a little different.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought.
Anyway, this isn't a Duke podcast. Let's wrap this thing up.
No, absolutely. And again, y'all just again, make sure to, if you haven't already, y'all, to make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bells. Again, we're gonna have our Pac-9 preview out here soon. We got a very special guest that we're gonna be joined by, which is gonna be awesome. Make sure you haven't already. Make sure you give us a follow, Tuffy Talk now on Twitter and Instagram, y'all. And again, just super excited about, hopefully some things turning, women's basketball turning a corner here a little bit. And, again, excited about baseball this year, which should be epic to say the least. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, again, we appreciate y'all. We love you guys. And as always, go Pack, y'all.